It's time to review Zone of the Enders for the PlayStation 2. Zone of the Enders was a mecha fighting game developed and released for the PlayStation 2 in 2001. The project was intended by Hideo Kojima of Metal Gear fame to be a tech demo for what the new in-house engine for Kojima Productions for the PlayStation 2 was capable of. It's also fondly remembered as that free game that came with the demo for Metal Gear Solid 2, though we all know how that game turned out, don't we?
I need scissors. 61.
So ignoring the demo that most will remember, does Zone of the Enders hold up well enough? Well, let's find out. The story takes place in the 22nd century, and like most other stories set in the future, Earth's population is overbubbling due to people forgetting how to use condoms properly, and thus a lot of them go to other planets and set up colonies near them. However, this has caused some controversy. Those who live on Earth don't like those who live on colonies because they weren't born on Earth, even giving them the insulting term Enders. And so the game begins as a fleet of mechs known as orbital frames from Earth are invading Antilia, the colony near Jupiter. While the invasion is taking place, a young boy named Leo runs into a hangar and accidentally falls into and begins piloting a special orbital frame named Z.O.E, which has been requested to get to an evacuation shuttle for an upcoming battle on Mars. So, Leo has to pilot Z.O.E to the evacuation shuttle while saving anyone he possibly can. Zone of the Enders is a three-dimensional mech fighter similar to that of the Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi series. The X and triangle buttons descend and ascend respectively. The square up button is your primary attack, and circle uses whatever weapon is equipped via the D-pad. R1 guards while R2 dashes while moving, and powers up only while stationary, which can make certain attacks more powerful. The L1 button locks onto and locks off enemies, and L2 changes which enemies you're locked onto. Occasionally, while doing a mission, other cities will ask for your help, and you might as well help since it does improve your overall rank. The conditions are that you destroy all of the enemies while destroying as little buildings as possible, especially the ones with people in them. When you complete the game, depending on your rank, you can unlock all sorts of bonuses, in one case, a versus mode where you and the CPU or a friend can duke it out as orbital frames in various towns and cities. Now, despite the promise that Zone of the Enders had, there are a few problems holding it back. First of all, the game has tons of filler strapped onto it in order to stretch out the already short running time. You have to put up with fetch quests, backtracking, all manner of contrivances that force you to go through nonsense that just makes the game longer to sit through. Not that any of it helps, even with all that filler, the total game length comes to about a rather short 4 hours in total, which is pretty disappointing seeing as the game just comes to a sudden halt. When it ends, there's no real satisfaction from beating it. It only feels like you came to the end of a demo or the first half of what could have been a great game. I've no problem with short games, don't get me wrong, but since this one just ended suddenly as if someone turned the console off, that just annoys me all the more. And finally, the worst aspect about this game is the truly horrible signposting that crops up whenever the good old filler shows up. Prepare to get lost and confused by incredibly vague clues that really don't help with anything at all. There's a reason there are so many walkthroughs for this game after all. Honestly, it says something about how bad the signposting is when about an hour and a half of said 4-hour running time is spent wandering around wondering what the hell to do. However, there's a lot of good aspects that keep the game from being bad. First and foremost, it's really fun to play. The controls are smooth and work really well, you feel like a complete badass taking down mechs in 3 dimensions, and fighting an advanced orbital frame is honestly one of the damn coolest things to watch in the world. A lot of reviews criticize the English dubbing in the game, especially the voice of Leo, but I actually liked it and thought that for its time it was pretty good. Okay, yes, Leo's voice could have been better, but the rest of the cast do a quite good job at getting emotions across. Particularly the logical but soulless AI of Z.O.E, Ada, and the determined, sadistic leader of the orbital frames, Viola. As well as this, I thought the story, for what it's worth, was actually very well done. While not ending properly and having a bit of angsting from our prepubescent protagonist, this time the angsting actually does make sense, since he simply just doesn't want to kill people, regardless of how evil they may be, which is very understandable and not something completely pathetic like, I don't know, getting all crappy about, oh, how everyone hates you even though they really don't.
No, I don't want to.
Listen.
No, you listen. I could get attacked again. And who the hell are you anyways? Why do you want this machine so much?
You fought well. We're just asking for a little more of your help. Please.
I suppose you want me to kill again.
Well,
I want nothing more to do with any of you. Go kill or whatever you want. Just leave me out of it. I've got to be going.
Then a lot more people will die.
What?
Everybody will die. Your friends, your family, every single one of them. We can't let them get a hold of Jehuti. If they do, it will be the end of this colony. No, it may be the end of civilization as we know it. You must, please, help us.
Move it, Leo! Help, Leo!
Please, help us.
All right. I'll do it just this one time, but that's all I'll do.
Okay, that's all we ask.
All right, if you say so.
Thank you.
As well as that, when the game decides to have an emotional moment, it pulls it off really well, even to tear-jerking levels during the climax of the game. And finally, the music is also damn good. The opening and ending themes kick all kinds of ass, the techno music that plays during the fights fit the mood very well and are pretty catchy, and the tracks that play during the emotional scenes are actually really freaking good. Seriously, just look up the OST on YouTube and you'll know what I mean. Zone of the Enders is a fun game with great controls, a very well done story, damn fun gameplay, some actual pretty good voice acting for its time, and great music. However, it's let down by tons of filler, a lack of a proper conclusion, and loads of horrible signposting. As such, Zone of the Enders only gets a rating of pretty good. What it says on the tin, really. Nothing spectacular, but still fun to play nonetheless. Now, that would be it, but there's something else. A sequel was made in 2004. Zone of the Enders, the second runner. Well, we're not finished yet, are we? See y'all next time for the conclusion.